Está desligado. Os áudios. No YouTube tem a tradução disponível? Tem para quem está assistindo?
Não, Sérgio.
Não tem depois.
Bom dia, estamos iniciando a transmissão do Palestra Internacional, no qual teremos o convidado o professor Dr. Cédric Bonnet como palestrante. Nesse momento, vou convidar para proferir a abertura dessa palestra o professor Sérgio Tosi, coordenador do laboratório, que irá fazer a abertura do nosso evento. Arthur.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Cédric Bonnet from the University of Lille, France. Dr. Bonnet is a full-time researcher and member of the SCALAB, the Cognitive Sciences and Affective Science Laboratory at the University of Lille, France. Our research team, composed by Dr. José Varela, Dr. Fábio Barbieri, Dr. Paula Polassi Zago, and myself, Sérgio Tosi Rodrigues, we maintain a collaboration with Dr. Bonnet through the process of Kapeskov Group, which is a long-term project, a 4-year project, which started in 2022 and goes through 2026. So we are in the middle of the project, and this project is entitled Gaze Behavior and Postural Control in Visual, Static, and Dynamic Environments, which focuses on the topic of posture, vision, dyslexia, among others. Dr. Bonnet will particularly discussing posture today in terms of body position, considering health aspects, which is a novel and very interesting topic. So thank you very, very much for coming, Dr. Bonnet. Thank you.
Thank you for this very nice introduction, and thank you to all of you to be here today. Thank you for the person on the video. Today I will be provocative, excessive in the way I talk, so we can see, but at the same time I will base my talk on published data. And I hope you are comfortably seated, right? Okay, let's begin. I will begin by an image. So this is just an image, not true, okay? This is my image of the situation. Imagine you have hourglasses in your body, and for example, for physiological age, for physical activity, for food, for sitting, standing, for other aspects like smoking, etc. In my image, you lose, when any of these hourglasses is empty, you die. So you hope to keep them as high as possible with the sun. In my image, you lose 1 cent a day for the physiological age. Well, because at some point you will die. Even if everything is fine, you will die. And for everything else, it depends on how you manage your life. If you do a lot of sports, you will not lose any sun during the day. And if you don't do any sports, you lose 3 cents. This is fine because your hourglasses are very huge, you know? But still, it is like if you don't do sports, then you lose cents every day. And same thing for food. If you eat bad food, then you will lose 3 cents a day. And if you, same thing for sitting, if you sit too much, then you will lose 3 cents a day. And you understand and other aspects as well. What you can understand here is that it's not possible to change for the physiological age. You will lose 1 cent a day, so that's the point. But for other things, you can modulate this in having a very good life, healthy life, and like sitting well, etc. And today I will talk about excessive sitting. This is only my point here. There could be other talk about like physical activity. The problem will be almost the same about food. The problem will be the same, very dramatic. But here I will just focus on excessive sitting. And you can see here that, as you understand here, excessive sitting may not be a problem today because you have a lot of sand, but may be a problem later. This is what I will introduce. And as you see on this slide here, two researchers said It's not. It's the main problem of our society today. Excessive sitting. So now let's come about prevalence. So how much time people sit in their life. And sitting, I can tell you that it's anchored in our life. So we spend so much time in sitting. We sit everywhere at all time. Look, so I will show you some examples. So it is in high income society. So like you, us in France. And you can see we sit at work, so in meeting rooms, in conference room, in classroom. We sit at home, so for TV, so video games, when eating, when relaxing. We sit when commuting, so bus, cars, train, metro. Sometimes you can stand, but in metro, but not often. Also in various activities, so when you play music, essentially, not sport, but music. And during waiting time, so when you go to the doctor, you wait sitting. And when you are at someone, imagine when when you come to someone's place, the first time you are invited to do is to sit. You are not tired, but you still have to sit straight. And when you are in front of your computer, then you sit because it's the only way to manage it. And you can do everything you want in front of your computer. You can even buy some stuff that will come to you. So you are the king of the world in front of the computer. Now let's come to the definition of sitting. In my discussion, this is like when you spend less than 1.5 metabolic equivalents. So sitting on a biking is not sitting for me. Sitting is when you sit like you and when you don't do anything. And I'm talking today about sedentariness. This is the main topic, but I will not have this keyword in my presentation. I will talk about sitting and excessive sitting, but this is the same as sedentariness. Again, so prevalence, so how much time we spend seated. And you see here some prevalence, some studies, some population study. So published in the literature. So it's objective time spent seated. So they put markers on bodies, and therefore it's objective here. You see on various studies with many people, 10.6 hours a day, extra 9.64. You see that in all those studies, people spend more than 8 hours a day sitting. If you imagine a day of 24 hours, and if you imagine that you spend 8 hours in sleeping, so because it's usual to sleep 8 hours, you have 16 hours left. On 16, you divide by 2, 8. So you spend more than half your day in the sitting position. This is what I show here. You see, sitting 8 hours, and you spend more, as a red line, you spend more than half of your day in the sitting position. This is the general population. Okay, general population, everybody. And what you have to know also is that, because I'm talking about the general population, when you are desk-based worker, so like me and you spend even more time sitting. This is 70 to 85% of the time. So it's much more than 8 hours here. And when you are like a desk-based worker, usually you continue at home. Of course you can do sport, but then you can sit and you continue at home. First conclusion, individuals sit a lot in their day, and especially us as workers, as a researcher, we are spending a lot of time in the sitting position. Still on prevalence here, but this is a general view of the world. Number of years, it doesn't matter for you, but it's about 60 years for the US and about 30 years for Brazil. What you have to see is the line going up. The line going up is the time spent sitting per day for people. And the other curve going down is for physical activity, number of physical activity for people in the world. So in the countries here, and you see it's for many years, 30 to 60 years. You see, this was published in 2012, so it's even worse today because of COVID, what happened for COVID. So it's what I said, the line going up is for sitting, and the one for going down is for physical activity. So time even worse because of COVID. I already said it. So the question now is it really judicious or relevant to sit so much in your life? Because you spend so much time sitting. Are there some negative consequences of sitting? I will talk to you about sentences of the literature. Beginning by health problem. Okay? Ready? First, this is a publication showing that you will die prematurely, and you can lose as much as 10 years of your life. This is published in the Lancet, so very high impact. You know, it's true here. High impact. You can lose 10 years of your life. This is not a joke, of course. And look at those articles. So I'll let you read those articles. So you see the titles. I underlined the important aspects here. And I have other words like this. Continue now. This is not just this is not just sitting. This is not just dying early, but also getting some chronic disease. You see those chronic diseases? So like stroke, diabetes, cancer. If you sit too much, you can get those diseases. Okay. This is not a joke too. I will show you some examples here. I'll let you look at them. And there are many others like this. Okay? Cancer, mortality, and type 2 diabetes. Conclusion? You may get a long-term disease if you don't die too early. Let's continue with those problems. So now I'm coming to like other problems. You can see them here. I'll let you look at them. All with some publications. Again, this is not a joke. I will show you some publication here. And of course, all those citations will show those aspects as well. Etc. Because there are other problems that I will not talk about today. What is scary is that people say excessive sitting is a disease. And this disease will cause other diseases. This is scary. We are sick when we sit too much. Imagine, we are sick and we are dealing with other diseases. One important aspect is that it is independent of sport. Even if you practice a lot of sport, it doesn't matter. If you sit excessively here, you get those diseases. There is one exception. If you make a huge amount of sport, for like making a marathon every day, you see. If you are like a professional athlete, then you have no problem of sitting. That's it. Otherwise, if you have to spend 2 hours a day or 3 hours of training if you want to get rid of those issues. So, sitting is a problem as much as a lack of physical activity, and they are independent. Let's talk now about psychological issues, because of course I was talking about physiological, but let's talk about psychological. I'll show you some examples here, I'll let you read. Very bad as well. And I say etc. as well, because there are others. Conclusion? If you do not die after a chronic disease, then you will have some pain, and you can get some problems at the psychological level. I'm kidding, but this is in some way based on scientific knowledge. Again, it's not a joke here. I'll let you look at them. Of course, those ones are more like problematic, and then this is still not that good, you know, etc. And the problem also is that it's a vicious circle, because when you get one problem, you can get two other problems. For example, if you have a bad mood, then you will not go to sport, and you will sit more, and you will not interact with people. So it's kind of a vicious circle. I'm talking now about cognitive aspects, cognitive issues of sitting too much. So here I will not develop as well. There are many. This is based on one publication, so this one. So it's a review of the literature, so you can find this one published in this study. And this person like reviewed very well all cognitive problems caused by excessive sitting. But what is called cognitive here is 4 aspects. This is executive functions, working memory, flexibility, and attention. So all those aspects are affected by excessive sitting because of all those processes, neurophysiological processes. And you see, of course, there are many publications for all these aspects here that are involved in neurophysiology. This is not a joke, because there are many publications here. So, to summarize first with health, like physiology, psychology, cognitive, you can see that an image of the situation is that when we sit too much, the body breaks down little by little. And this is one image, like, you know, we sit and this is breaking apart little by little at the physiological level, psychological level, cognitive level, and macroscopic and microscopic. Because cells are affected as well as main aspects such as social behavior. So now let's talk about consequences at the performance level. Performance level is when you do a task, you know, and a cognitive task when you're at work. Does it affect excessive sitting? Does it affect your performance? This is what I want to discuss with you here. And the result is that reaction time when sitting are longer than when you stand. And so it means that so it has been shown in stroke tasks, in attention tasks, and so we have better selective attention and better cognitive control when we stand than when we sit. This is before fatigue, and many publications have shown this aspect. So this is before fatigue again. Only those work here for like best performance. Now I'm talking about work productivity here, and it's long term, so it's more like weeks, months, and time, like life duration. So are you productive as much as in your life long when you sit much than when you sit less, I would say? And the conclusion for some authors is that, of course, when you have problems, psychological, physiological, cognitive, you will be lower, and of course when you have disease, pain, depression, you can have burnout and work interruption. This is published in some articles here. So yes, sure, there are some serious health problems caused by excessive sitting. But remember what I was talking at the beginning, you have a big hourglasses, and the problem is not now, the problem is later. Okay? Big hourglasses, and therefore you still have sand, but don't lose too much sand in your life. This is the point. Yeah. The question is why excessive sitting may cause problem. Why it may cause? So you can say why, yeah. And there is no real reason except like problems, cognitive problems because of your health is bad, and it's it doesn't allow the blood to come like in your brain, so that is a physiological issue. But then I prefer me like a more general explanation based on history. This is just because if you imagine living people hominid, so like humans, living on Earth since a million years, and if you take like those million years as one day, and if you take the time we began to see much more since World War II, if you look at since World War II, so it makes about 80 years, 70 years, it is just 1 second of the full day of humanity. So we see a lot since 1 second of the full day. And our physiology is not used to it. Not used to it. So it is no sense to us to be seated so much. And one proof, like indirect proof of this is that, because you can say, how do you know people like in the past were sitting less than us? And actually what they do is to measure behavior of hunter-gatherer in Africa. And like, you know, they're like our ancestors, and they're measuring how they stand, how they move, and what they showed is that those hunter-gatherers, they are significantly less than us, first point. And when they are in non-ambulatory behavior, so like not moving, they are more dynamic than us. So like squatting, kneeling, so it's dynamic, you know, because you can fall. And they are not like in a comfortable situation. So this is less, and when they are immobile, they are more dynamic than us. And so those people, they are less affected by all the diseases I showed in the past. Of course, you will tell me they died earlier than us, sure. But still, this guy, Western Yale, said what I'm showing here, they are less affected by diseases than us. And so what? You show the same graph as this is the representation of what I just said. You see million years, and 1 second represents 0.01% of the day. And what I show you in some way that there is a threshold. So I will tell you about this threshold later. How much time we need to sit to be like in front of problems. But here I'm just talking about threshold, and in some way like our ancestors for million years, they were standing more than this threshold, and therefore they didn't have any issues. And since 70 years, we are inverting this like behavior and coming to sit too much and standing less than this threshold. And what I can tell you is that if you stand more than this threshold, then this is a physiological requirement, so to be healthy, to stay healthy for your life. The question now is what caused this crack or this moving to sitting behavior? And actually, what I can tell you is that everything in our life is constructed to sit everywhere. As I showed you at the beginning, everywhere we sit everywhere. So the same graph here, and I come to now tell you what could mean excessive sitting. How many hours a day is it? Which duration? So are we sitting too much? What is problematic? And we made a review of the literature with José Varela, and we found that in all published studies, people sitting more than 8 hours a day showed some problems. This is in published studies, so that they showed problems. And even worse, in some studies, when they sit on sofa, so even like more passive sitting, then it was even worse. In some way, you have to understand that the more passive you are in sitting, the worse it is for your health and etc. So I show 8. Of course, I may not be right, but this is just based on the published literature so far. It may change, but still, I'm telling you that it's a high threshold, so it's conservative, because if you are like sitting passively, then it's even worse. I recall this that I showed you at the beginning, remember? And remember that now you know that it's 8 hours a day about like a threshold. You see the world population here? All of them are more than 8 hours a day. And base worker like us, you see, we are 11.2 to 12.8 hours a day sitting. You see the problem? Well, I show you the same, but with another image. Okay, it's the same kind of discussion. We imagine like the time spent per day. So I put just 16 hours because we don't talk about sleeping 8 hours. So I just talk about the waking behavior when we are awake. And you can see, I show here that when you are higher than 8 hours a day, then you are in the red zone. Okay, and half of the world population is in the red zone already, because they are all above 8 hours a day. Of course, desk plus worker are even higher, so it's even more red. And this is again some expression telling you that sitting is a weird behavior. That's right, because our ancestors were not doing it. So. And so it's an unhealthy behavior, and it's even worse, inappropriate for us, as I said. A large effort should be made in all countries to get out of this problem. And I agree with Levin in 2015 saying, sick of sitting. So I get sick of sitting now. I just sick of sitting because it's too much, too much, too much. This is a very good expression here. So be careful, I will talk about something else. Be careful, because standing too much is also very problematic. And we all know this. So I will talk about this aspect because of course we need to talk about it. This is a down part of my graph here. You get red. You get also very much problem when you stand too much during the day. This is well known for centuries, and actually this is because of those problems of standing too much that doctors made us sit more and more and more and more and more, and now we sit too much. So, look at this. So standing just 1 hour more a day will create many problems. This is a back and leg pain, muscle fatigue, chronic venous problem. We know this. We know this. Even worse. We have almost the same problem as when we sit too much. So sitting too much is making our life not good, high problem. Standing too much or sitting not enough, same problem. And you see, you have a blue zone in the middle. The blue zone is important here. And as I just said, there are almost the same problem in standing too much than sitting too much. Same. So I will not show them again, but this is almost the same. So I'm talking about a solution to adopt which behavior to adopt. And of course, we have to get into the blue zone here. This is the point. This window is to stay healthy, and our ancestors for million years were in this window. We are not anymore, as I showed you. As I said, today half of the world population should stand more, or should be more dynamic in sitting. And this is a World Health Organization who is saying that since 2016. Every time talking about physical activity and sedentariness is the same message. And for me, I was thinking about it and trying to understand what to do. And for me, the best solution to get back into the blue zone is to frequently alternate standing. And I will explain why, but between 15 minutes and 45 minutes in one behavior and the other behavior, and coming back, and I will explain. But so that's an ergonomic solution, because many publications show various ways to stand more, many advices. But for one of the solution is to adopt dynamic sitting position. I'm saying sitting, okay? Because well, sitting and standing, because what I was telling you is that our body, so physiology, hates passivity. Our ancestors were not used to have passivity, our system hates passivity. And I can even tell you that the eyes need to move all the time, and the body needs to move all the time. And, we need to move, and when we get to a chair, and a long chair, this is passive. It's just not what the body is made for. So we hate passivity. The more passive we are, and my message, and the worse it is for our systems. So, just an example, I like to laugh a little bit. Of course, walking in this way is not good at all. Don't do that. Then, it's slightly better to be in a long chair to walk, but still not good, you know? Okay, the classical situation is not good, but still, well, this is classical. Of course, it would be better to sit on the ground because you are more dynamic, but not comfortable, I agree with you. And one dynamic solution that could be helpful is to sit on a climb ball, because you are always dynamic. You sit in dynamic way, and therefore you are not sitting here. As I showed you, this is not sitting here. This is weird, but this is not sitting here. Because you are dynamic, you are controlling your body all the time, and the body likes to be dynamic. So this solution is not sitting, as I said, but again, I need to be careful, because if you do like several hours with sitting on this ball, you will get some problems. So to be used with parsimony, so sparingly, sorry. So this is good to use it, but not too much. Second solution now, to stand more at work, and it's not, what I'm saying here is that standing more is not costly or it's not difficult. It does not cost anything to you to stand more at work. And as we reviewed with one of my colleagues, the best solution we can have to stand more at work for days work life. So to spend, in which what's the best to spend more during the full day is to use those devices, so to system desk, because of course when you are 8 hours a day at your work, you can spend much more time standing. Of course you can spend more time standing in after your day, but then you want to, you have your activities, you have to commute, you have to, so you will be obliged to sit in somewhere. You can do more sport, but this is here much easier to spend more time standing than to do some physical activity. And solution also effective at home, because when you sit with system desk, you can do it at work and at home, so that's very good. The third solution is to just to both use dynamic sitting and standing more with the desk, which is perfect. And another solution, so this is used in the lab INRS, so this is an Institute for Health and Security at Work. Another solution is to bike at work, because it is well known in many publications that performing sport at work is good, and actually we are not worse when in task performance. But I will not recommend it, because for some reason, two reasons actually. The first is when you share your desk, your office with someone, it may not be so good. And also to sweat at work may also kind of cause some issues. So, but just do it outside your work. So, and my advice would be to stand more during the day. Is to use the stand desk in a judicious way. And what I believe the best way is to alternate sitting and standing. Why? Because if you spend 2 hours standing in the morning, then you will be so tired that you will not stand anymore. But so you have to avoid that fatigue, and therefore if between 15 and 30 minutes you are not tired, you sit, because you are just beginning to feel some pain. And then because you are not tired by the first time spent standing, then you will stand again. And until the end of the day you will stand Well, if you spend 2 hours or 3 hours in the morning, then you will not stay anymore. So this is as I tell you, this is to help you to come back to the blue zone here. And this is not difficult because our ancestors were spending time in the blue zone. So we are in the red zone, so this is not difficult to come back to this blue zone. There's obviously no risk to spend more time in the standing position. And of course, avoid to spend too much time standing because then you will get to the red zone again. So this is easy to find those desks because there are a plethora of sites on internet, and the world is increasingly equipped by those desks. And for example, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, and in the north of Europe as well. And even in Denmark, they're obliged to use those desks. They cannot buy a desk like just sitting. Very, very well. And what about France now? Just like to make a joke about it. So, we're like, the Gallic village trying to, well, we like our desks, the sitting desks, we like them, and we strongly like our chairs, and we like to keep them. I don't want to be stolen by my chair. And so some way we are kind of fishing, it's an expression in France. But of course we are sitting when we fish. So, and even worse, in France or in Europe, those desks are used for disabled persons, people with impairment, and therefore we have a negative condition because it's not positive, but it's negative because if you have one desk like this, you are like impaired in some way. Desks for people with disability. And the objective of my research here is to understand how to use those desks to get the most efficient for health and for performance and productivity. So this is what I'm doing, what I'm searching. And some secrets, so to begin, some obvious secrets, but what we could see is that, as you understand, of course, sitting all the time with a sit-on desk is not good, as you understood. But still, we have to say it. Also, standing all the time is not good as well. But then, which standing behavior, dynamic, we should use every day? And also, an obvious advice is we should not have the system move together alone by itself automatically, because then when you are doing something, you don't want the desk to move on. So we should not have something like regular and something like that will impose you to stand. Instead, people should freely choose the behavior, so when to stand, when to sit, because you need to feel your body, to feel when you are tired, or when you are tired, you need to sit. When you are not tired anymore, you need to stand. So it's your behavior, because some people will be in the morning better than in the evening, so it's individual. And various publications showed, and mine included, show that the best behavior would be between 15 and 45 minutes standing, and something for sitting. And here an expression is the more individual stand before fatigue, so it's before fatigue again, and the better it will be for task performance and for health as well at the long term. And my research shows again that this is frequently alternating sitting standing that is the best, as I was saying. So, in my opinion, the best is alternating, and this is what I call in this hypothesis a trade-off. This is here you can see it. So the performance on the y-axis, and this is time spent at work. And this is about performance again, so short term. And you can see that when we sit, the literature shows that the attention on performance is decreasing a long time. Decreasing a bit. So if you spend just sitting, you will decrease your attention more and more. Of course, when you stand, you will be better at the beginning. You will be better, but if you spend like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours standing, of course, then you will be so tired and so with so much pain that at some point it will crash, you know. And therefore, in some way, the solution is to avoid fatigue and to be standing because standing is where we are the best. We are the best, but it is tiring. And so best solution to move. Again, this is just my opinion. That's it. So best solution for me to prevent occupational health issues and chronic illnesses, to improve physiological, psychological, cognitive, to improve performance and productivity. And this is in tune with our society because we are like always moving and seeing people, and so we need to get to people and to. So summary now. I showed you this, and remember the last part. This is the behavior since 70 years. I recall that this was healthy, and therefore standing more than the threshold, and getting still having many sense in the hourglass. And the last part, being like we stand not enough, and therefore we have potentially less premature mortality. We have some disease like chronic. We have some other issues. So I will ask you some questions now. Do you like to sit at work? Just a question that I'm not waiting for answers, but I'm just asking you some questions. And do you like to sit in front of me? Well, yeah, because my answers, I was thinking about that, and why do you stand in front of me, or why do I sit when I'm in front of colleagues? Anyway, there are some answers that could be done. First, because we are exhausted. We sit because we are exhausted, possibly. The second explanation would be to facilitate sleeping, because, well, of course, when you stand, you will not sleep. But if you are, perhaps you are like, maybe if I don't like the talk, I will just be like, that's a possibility at least. Also, perhaps because it's you do as others. Other people like sit, and therefore I will do like others. I mean, this is a social norm. I will not do differently than other people. Why will I do so? And also perhaps to feel successful. Imagine to feel successful. Why is that so? In some way I'm telling you that you are successful when you sit. Why? Because if you get too late to somewhere, you can have no room anymore. And if you have no seat, you will be held. This is not possible. So in some way you are successful because you get ready on time and you get to chair. You have your chair, good. And otherwise you fail. Okay, you have no chair, you fail. And also perhaps because also you may think that it's better for you to best understand my talk in some way. Or you think I'm better when I sit because the literature says that I'm better when I sit. Therefore, I will sit because I want to understand this talk and I want to get it very well. And this is what people said in the past. So it's not what I believe, but in the past they were saying that we have less distraction when we sit than when we stand. And attention may be required when you stand. You have to control your balance, and therefore you may have less attention. So better it is to have to stand, to sit than to stand. Thank you very much, and I finish by a joke in some way. You see. Thank you. You see, the electric chair. Don't stay too much seated.
Thank you very much for your talk. So I think it's time to open for questions and comments.
I have a question. Sir, congratulations for your presentation. Mr. Drake, congratulations for your presentation. Very interesting. But I have, in my opinion, a good question, and I think it would be a challenge for you to try to explain. But how do you think that's challenge to modify this behavior? Because sometimes you know very well that you need to modify everything. You know, here, and how difficult it is sometimes to buy good chairs, good things. It's impossible sometimes to convince my boss here to buy new seat, stand desks. It's very important for me. But how to convince the population, the employer, everything to modify behavior or to help us to improve our health quality for in this condition to want to spend more time sitting.
Thank you for the question. There is no much answer to this, but only to be aware of the problem is the first important aspect. So perhaps you are not aware of it until today. And me, even I was not aware of it 4 years ago. And I was sitting like 12 hours a day, and this is good for me. I work very hard, this is good for me. And suddenly I said, oof, this is not good for me anymore. And I was studying this and finding that there are only advantages to spend more, only, no disadvantages. And therefore I just changed my life, but I needed to read first. And then it's like to spread out the news, and today I talk to you, and maybe you will kind of change something in your life. And then talking about to others. And I know that your director will not be convinced, but if he was here today, there will be still a first good point, and then it's not just once, you know, it's several times you get it, and then we have conferences and we get the message again. So I was doing this message at transition, the week of transition in France, week of transition. So we have many transitions like energy, water, I don't know, whatever. But I was talking about this social professional change. Some people hear me, and I get some email and then saying how to change our buildings. And I say, well, just talk to your director, and then you will have messages from different many times, and then you will be obliged to do it. I mean, if you listen to this, you can feel that you will have to change something. In some way, we are very smart people, like all, and we have a weird behavior. Weird, but we don't know it. Didn't know it. I mean, perhaps you knew it, but I didn't. And therefore, it's kind of getting into your brain and getting it, the more you will see it and listen to it, and the more you will want to do it. And then also, I was the first to have at my department to have a system desk. Because of course I bought one at home, at my work, at my two places. And then now, they are not just me, but we are 4 in one place and 4 in the other. And some people are asking me how to do it. But this is just, and I know when one of our departments in France, all of them have a system desk problem. Because this person already pushing and saying the truth. I mean, yeah, in some way, this is just time. And the fact is that it will be slow, very slow, because it's expensive. The more expensive it is, and the slower the process will be. But if you see a secretary or a director having the desk first, and then employee after months and years will want to get one, and then pushing, and this is the way it works.
Thank you for your presentation, Professor. I have a doubt why we don't have the furniture necessary to make this sit-stand position while you're working. Would it be enough for us to make some stretching while we stand? Sometimes, like we get sit for 1 hour, and then we make 5 minutes stretching, and then we come back and sit for 1 hour, while we don't have the perfect condition yet. Did you read something about it in those studies that you brought to us?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. It's about spending 5 minutes an hour, like to stretch or to stand. Yes, some papers were published for this aspect to change behavior is of course better than not to change, as I said. But I will even push more than this because what I was saying, this is just my belief. This is, yeah, so, but what I see is that 8 hours a day, you should not sit more than 8 hours a day, so it's half a day, not more than half a day. What does it mean? If you shorten the time at work, 8 hours a day, you should stand 4 hours during your 8 hours a day. So you are talking about 5 minutes out of 1 hour. It should be 30 minutes out of 1 hour. See? But yeah, you see, and if you stretch 30 minutes, you will not work. But if you spend 30 minutes standing at your desk, as I was saying, you work even better. I mean, your reaction time is better, so you're not better, but at least you are not worse. All the literature published, you are as good when standing for keyboarding, for calling people, for answering, for even like meeting, are better when standing than sitting. You get, because you are shorter, of course you don't want to talk about irrelevant aspects, you just go straight to the topic. You stand, it's kind of tiring, go straight to the topic, you know, you don't talk about something else. So in some way, when you stand, you work more efficiently. But again, before fatigue. So it's not 5 minutes, but it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, but better 5 minutes than nothing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your talk. It was very interesting, and it got me thinking about some other stuff as well. I actually had a friend who was a heavy smoker. He smoked several packs a day. But in the evening, to kind of compensate for this, he used to stand up while watching TV. And while this is maybe good, maybe health, that's not how health really works, right? Because I think health is very interconnected thing. You need to eat well, you need to sleep well, you need to have social life, you need to maybe limit drinking, smoking, and you need to have enough exercise. So my question is, if you do everything right, you do everything perfect, but you stand 9 hours a day, from your expertise, would you still see negative health impacts of this? So say if you do everything right, you exercise, you sleep well, but you sit down for 9 hours a day. Oh, did I say stand? I mean sit. Would you still see negative health impacts?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Sure, because you are more than 8, sure. Even if everything is fine, as I said, you have hourglasses, and each of them should be good, because then you can create troubles. But one first answer is that you can have a very, very big hourglass for sitting, and therefore you will never die about sitting. You know? So I had, for example, an uncle, he smoked all his life and he didn't die about smoking. So it's the same reason. So you can sit all your life and have no issues. But better it is not to try because you don't know. So this is like you have hourglasses independent of each other. So better it is to keep them healthy. But of course they are very big. As I said, don't be scared, they are very big. So you can sit for many, many, many days and years and weeks and months. But when you can avoid it, just avoid it.
I have a question, just to thanks for your talk. Just to add in what Matt said, so do you think you suggest time zone for standing in the room, time zone? But do you think that the experience or profile of the person's profile can affect the time zone? You know, the blue zone?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Not enough publications have been, not enough articles have been published, and even there is no stressor in some way. With Jose, we put a stressor, but there are many others, and they will evolve with like many publications, and this is not general, of course. Some people like, what about older adults? What about people with disabilities? What about? So it depends on the people. So what about children also? But in some way,
the general message is that we should be in middle, and for everything we should be balanced. If you do something excessively, it's not good. Whatever you do, it should be not to be excessive. But we are excessively sitting. This is what I'm saying. Even if we believe we are good, we are just very bad. So we should just improve this. And as I said, there are many solutions like published in the literature. For example, one that I was using is when you call someone, you stand. It's a good one because you will never spend more than 5 minutes at your phone, and you will never be tired. This is good. I was doing it to begin, and then instead of taking the elevator to work because well, it's better, but you know, many aspects. Then you choose what you want to do.
Thank you so much, Professor. As you say about the sedentary behavior, today we are more sedentary, but if you see the lifespan for the humanity is more, today our age is more increased in the number of years, maybe 5 years. My question is, when you say about the 8 hour of standing or sitting, this is the only contributor about the health. Let's suppose if any person is adding more calories overall, maybe 1,000 more calories in a day, and he is standing just for maybe 8 hours, maybe 4 hours, or he is spending maybe less than 300 calories. So how it will contribute to his overall health?
Sorry, I did not understand everything in your question.
If in the 24 hours, if a person is standing less than 9 hours or not sitting, 8 hours, okay. If he is not sitting less than 8 hours, but he is eating more calories in the overall, every day. So, do you think it will be also contributing to his overall health? Maybe not only food, if activity you are doing today, maybe it can be back to an acute effect, but in the longer life, it will not be beneficial. What do you think about it?
Sorry, I did not understand everything, but what I was telling you is that it's independent. So if you have kind of independent power gases, and if you eat too much, then you will have problems, of course, for the food. But perhaps if you are very heavy after eating, you want to sit more. So it can have some consequences on your behavior, but it doesn't really matter. And then you can practice sport, which is good because when you practice sport, you are not sitting. But so it's not kind of directly helping, but indirectly you sit less. So it's a way you can help yourself, or you can deteriorate your behavior, sitting behavior, with other aspects. So maybe it's what you said. If you eat, you can deteriorate or maybe help you for sitting, or same thing for sports. They interact in some way, but the time spent sitting is the factor that counts most. Did I answer your question?
Congrats, Professor, for the presentation. Is about two things. The first is you have said in the presentation that there is an amount of daily physical activity that can counteract these negative things that excessive sitting causes us. You said about run a marathon every day. I don't know if you literally see this is literally or so if you can talk about this, please. And another question is, you have said that you adopt this sitting standing way of work, but we show us the benefits, but how about you? What do you feel that change in your day when you start to work in this way? Because I think this is more convinced than just saw the results in the papers. When you are talking with someone and I start to feel better because this happens and this happens when I adopt this kind of way of works. A change is sitting and standing. So these two questions, please. Thank you again.
Thank you for this question. For the first one,
I invite you to read Ekelung et al. 2016. This is the Lancet article about premature mortality. Because this article, very great, is putting an energy map onto it and showing that the more you practice sport, and the better it will be for your health or your sitting health. But as you will see, you have to have a lot of hours of but it's not just it's a question also of intensity of physical activity, because as far as I know, if you spend more than 2 hours and a half in high intensity sport in a week, then you are good to avoid excessive problem of sitting. But this 2 hours and a half a week, very like high VO2 max, you know. And if you are just walking, it will be like 5-6 hours a day, because walking is it's just walking like slowly. So it depends on your behavior. The more you push into VO2 max, and the less time you have to go into. But what I wanted to say is that in some way, to avoid problem of sitting, you stand. This is the way best way to do it. Of course, you can practice a lot of sport, sure, but the best way to do it is to stand more. But to avoid problem caused by physical lack of physical activity, you have to practice a lot of physical activity, because here you also have a hourglass. So practice physical activity, and therefore you are not sitting. So when you practice physical activity, you are like helping you for avoiding problems of lack of physical activity, and you are also kind of contributing to avoid sitting problem with, because you are not sitting. And if you spend 2 hours and a half practicing sport, you are not sitting here. See? But then don't sit all the time, because then otherwise. So you have a energy map in this article, very great, and you will see. Oh, I should just avoid sitting. For the second question about what changes in life, I will answer this fact, is that at the beginning, when I began to behave with, I needed some way to push myself to have like a kind of beep, or to call me to avoid to sit too much. And very quickly, like about 3 months, very quickly, so 3 months, my body get used to be standing, and therefore I didn't need to have some button, but just to feel my body and to listen to my body. My body wants to stand. Why? Because my ancestors for million years, they were standing more than me, so we are lazy. We are used to be lazy now, and I get very easily out of this zone. Very easy, just in 3 months, and then I need to be standing. So when I sit too much, I need to be standing, this is horrible now when I'm getting to meeting with my colleagues. I want to stand. I will do it very soon, because we need to change our life, and some way I get stuck on my. This is my first answer. So our body was used to stand more than today, or be more dynamic, and to get back to it is easy, and your body wants it. I'm kind of answering your question, but then let's feel better this way.
I guess some kind of muscle pain in your upper body, some kind of attention. Can you feel this change, this kind of thing change when you adopt this behavior? Because as I said, it's more. I believe that it's more convince. It's easy to convince someone when we talk about personal experience.
Yeah. So we cannot spend too much time, because I said our ancestors were spending about half and half, 8 and 8. So it's not a question of spending way too much time and therefore I'm not able to spend much more than you. And I said 15 to 45 minutes. When I walk 1 hour, I don't do more than 1 hour. 45 minutes is okay for me. I don't do more. I could do more, but I don't, because
after 4 years, 3 years, I'm not getting better. I'm not like having endurance about it. But that's fine because I sit and then I want to stand. I forgot the second aspect I wanted to tell you when I answer your question.
Thank you for your presentation. When we think about this sit and stand behavior, I can help but to think about all the labor-intensive kind of jobs, not just the desk-based kind of jobs that we have culturally in this country. So the question that gets up in my mind is about all the labor-intensive kind of works. For example, there are a lot of people that work at restaurants, people that work at construction, pharmacy, all those kind of jobs and works that necessarily don't have any time sitting. There is some kind of solution for those people that have normally 4 hours of standing, then one break, then another 4 hours of standing again. There is any kind of solution for those kind of labors.
That's a good point. You asked me for solution. So no, yeah, I agree with you that many jobs there are too much standing. High problem, the same. What can we do? And this is for history because in the past, like for centuries, people were standing too much and having too much physical activity. So the reason why we are sitting so much now. But I said that this is a red zone, so we should just be in the middle. And I know that if you are in pharmacy, you will not be able to sit. Well, you have to talk to your director. I don't know what the solution are. As I told you, we are obliged to sit everywhere at all time, or we are obliged to stand all the time for some job. And I agree with you. What can we do? Yeah, at least. We researchers, we can change our behavior. But yeah, in pharmacy or in other works, we may not be able to do it. Any other questions?
I do have one. Of course. I'd like you to comment a little bit more. For me, better reaction times and better attention, like during standing, is not a so straightforward, conclusion. And then if you could comment, which would be the basis, like when you compare like sitting and standing for, reaction time or things like this, how those things started and how they realized, and just some points of just a quick overview on that. Thank you.
Well, I invite you to come to my talk at 12:30.
I'll be there.
I have another talk at 12:30. We'll talk about this specifically. So I can develop now, but well, I have slides on this. So yeah,
It's okay. Yeah. Thank you.
but well, if you wanted to have more like information about this, I put some articles and then yeah, we can discuss them, the articles there about those reaction time. Like so, it doesn't mean we are better. It just means reaction time is slower, like lower. For the moment, as far as I know, for performance, this is a question of 1 versus 0, so success versus failure. There are many articles, like more than 100. Even more than that, we show that there is no difference between sitting and standing. Because in some way, those variables, so 1 versus 0, are not best chosen or are not the best to make a difference between sitting and standing. So as if we were as good when sitting and standing, and there is no way, there is no best work, no bad work, which is good for you because you can believe that you are better when sitting. This is not true.
not true, not true. So that's already a very good feedback, because to come back to my story, when I was beginning to read about sitting was not good for health, I was like, yeah, but I will not stand if my work is not as efficient. We need to be in a high-income country, or we need to be very efficient, to work more, to publish more, to be better. I said, I will not stand more, even if my health is in danger. I will not stand more if my performance, the productive, is not at least the same. And therefore, I searched for all this literature. I read this literature, and I was like, similar, 100 of times similar. That's good, very good, because I want to protect my health, and therefore I will stand more, because it doesn't hurt my performance. But what I will talk to you about, and what I will talk to you later, that we should even be better when standing before fatigue. And what does it mean? It's first with reaction time, so attention. So I will explain a little bit about it. But still, reaction time is not performance. So will I get better at work? For the moment, I'm not convinced, but at least it will not be worse, for sure. It can only be better.
Thank you very much. I have one extra question.
Thank you, Professor. I have just one question. Maybe about the NEAT, like the non-activity exercise thermogenesis. It will be like test sports. In the office, we use okay, my colleague is there, give me a water, but next time I need to go and pick me up. If you are room is on the fourth floor, you don't need to use elevator. You can use the stair. This is like several studies are there. If you see them, will you think it's much better and applicable than that guy just sitting?
If I understand, you're asking, it's better to walk around and then to take the elevator, right?
Yeah.
Sure, it will always be better, because it's better to practice low physical activity than not to practice. This is a question of quantity of physical activity. It's not related to sitting. This is only related to physical activity, but you should spend as much time. But you will spend more time to walk on the stairs than to get onto the elevator. So in some way you can gain 1-2 minutes standing, and to also to practice physical activity, even low. So you gain 2 minutes a day. So when you are so low, so in the red zone, you should gain 2 minutes, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or better. Better for sitting, standing, so less sitting, and better maybe so for physical activity, even if walking the stairs is not so much physical activity, it's kind of very little. Any behavior that will help you to stand more, to be more standing, will be helpful. Of course, if you practice physical activity, it's better because you are not sitting at all. And whatever you do is good. So add those good behavior, and then you will get better. But this is your choice, because you have many Howard students. This is your choice. If you don't want to do anything, you don't do anything. Sometimes we need to rest, to relax.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bonnet. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you, everyone, for being present. So, and also I thank all the people that connected to the internet. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Agradecendo a presença de todos, aqueles que nos acompanharam via streaming e também aqueles presencialmente, desejamos um excelente dia a todos e esperamos encontrá-los no próximo evento.